the route that he desires on his franchise. Mr. Thorpe did his. The Angel Wings did hers. Angel Wings chose to go up Scott Hollow from her destination down here. I chose another route when I applied. The chief of police, the city clerk has got it in her file of all of my insurances, my coggins on my horses, and the city can regulate horse-drawn carriages. I'll agree 110% on that. You can regulate, make me have $1 million policy of liability, lights on my horses, borium on my shoes, drug tests for my drivers. You can regulate anything that surrounded horse-drawn carriages by your ordinance that you set out. And I have complied to all of your requests from your ordinance. What happened on this franchise here, the new council in January was going to take this over. It was the 15th of December. In January, we got a snow. I was on the way over here. I got a call either from the city clerk or her assistant that's out front. Somebody called me and said, the council meeting is canceled. We're not going to hear your request tonight. I said, okay, please don't put me on the next agenda, skip one, because I'm going to be out of town. Well, somehow I got on the next agenda, and I wasn't here, and the mayor pulled it. And that's where it's been for 6 months until the mayor put me back on the agenda last month. And that application there is the monies that you've got in hand. Yes, you gave me the $350 on the other one back, but this one you still got. And I want a franchise in this city. And like I told you, I'd love to have your franchise, your blessings on the franchise that you got, but you can't exclude me from using the state highways. Because I got clients that's going to be wanting my services on 62, that's going to want to be coming down 23. If I have to go outside the city limits down here to turn around, if you force me to do that, that's what I'll do. With my company, I gave you all the state laws that says if I got a business license in another town, and Mr. Weaver and I disagree with this, where I'm in the glass business or the carriage business, I come over here and do a ride for a hotel that's up here on 62 highway and bring their clients down 23, I can do that. As long as I don't have established facility here, then I don't have to have a business license. Now, granted, if you issue me this franchise, I'll have established business. I'll have a business where when somebody walks up and down the street, a carriage will be sitting there to take care of the citizens that come to Eureka Springs. Mr. Thorpe, 90% of his business, or maybe more, is by reservations. Sure, we'll take reservations. I took one today. But I want to cater to the folks that's walking up and down the street that wants a curb service ride in a carriage. That's where we make our money. Franchises or appointments are great. You got your money pre-hand, and we'll do that too. But I'll be sitting out here on the curb someplace that I get permission from a property owner. And I noticed Mr. Thorpe today, his carriage was sitting down here on the street, sitting in the curve down here. To me, that's a perfect place for a carriage stop to be. It's right there in the nook. I don't have a problem with sharing a carriage stop with Mr. Thorpe or anybody else that comes to the town and wants a business. It's all free enterprise. And I think the law says you can regulate it. You can't stop it if there's an ordinance, if you got a franchise there. As long as you give me the franchise and you go ahead and let me operate, or I will operate on the state highway, which the state gives me that authority to do. I think I'm in my rights to do that. I mean, you let every other business come here, Pepsi-Cola trucks, the UPS trucks. They all stop at this business. They stop at the next business. They all come from out of town and stop at different businesses and cater to that business. I'm no different. Only difference is they're carrying Cokes and I'm carrying individuals that gets on my carriage. And if you force me to, if you don't give me the franchise, you're going to force me to come over here and work for tips. And that's the only choice I've got, because I've got to run my carriages. I've got them. Business is not the great in the world. Everywhere else, I've got these carriages in the building, and you can't blame me for wanting to operate a business. I mean, that's like saying you can only have one restaurant or two restaurants or two hotels. I mean, is that fair, guys? I mean, there's 6 intelligent people sitting around this table here. This is just a little carriage franchise, a carriage permit. It may have got blown out of proportion from 2004, but come on, guys. I mean, let's all work together to make Eureka the best it can be. I'm not going to hurt Eureka Springs. I'm hoping that I'll bring something to Eureka. So you do have a application on the table for my franchise. So I would ask you to approve that. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions to him? Yes, sir.
Well, we would need to put that on the agenda if that meets all the criteria of an application for the 3rd franchise.
She's already got it.
Well, it's not on our agenda in that manner.
Something else, I had a business license in this city that I just bought because when I applied for the first one, your ordinance says you have to have a business license before you can apply for a franchise. I bought one, and I've tried to buy 3 more since then, and the mayor even asked the city clerk to issue me a business license. I don't think I have to have one, but I had my money, and I was willing to buy a business license. Now, that's another issue that's going to be taken up, but I just, guys, I've been here since 2004 asking for a permit to run carriages in this town, and what is the big deal? We got a carriage company here that he don't run every day on the street or the weekends. He takes mostly appointments. Go on his website and he'll show we're booked up. Well, that means there's room.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I would move that this item be the question of the 3rd franchise with the help of the city attorney and the city clerk to determine if it's a legitimate claim and that it be placed on our next agenda.
Okay, so the carriage issue on the next agenda.
I think we ought to say that for agenda
Mr.
set.
Berry?
I'm not sure I'm understanding the exact motion, I think. Do we want to look at the franchise agreement for the 3rd franchise?
We have to determine if there is an application for a 3rd franchise, and just looking at it right here and now, I'm not willing to address that issue. But if it passes muster with the city clerk and the city attorney, then it's an item that has to come before us.
Motion's been made.
I'll second the motion.
Made and seconded. Okay. Do a roll call vote on this one, so we know who said what.
Mayor, I've got my attention. All the paper.
Okay.
The next meeting.
Discussion?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Do you
Yeah.
want discussion?
Yeah, let's go ahead and.
Do we
That's
or
what
do we
we're gonna
not
do.
have a request application for the 3rd franchise?
He says he's got it right here.
Got everything that your ordinance says right here that I turned in. The chief, here's the approval of the chief of police, the route. That's the application from the summer. It is. Everything is there.
Okay, hold up.
I think
Mr.
until
Fallon.
such time that the appropriate city office has a franchise application, it was put on the agenda to have Mr. Weaver's opinion. I mean, you can even read what the highway department says. Yeah, we can't regulate what vehicles are on there. He could go from point A to point B with a motor scooter. But, doesn't say that he can operate within the city of business without following the business laws. So I feel until such time that there's an application on the table or in the clerk's office for the third franchise, it's a moot point that shouldn't even be discussed at the table.
Okay, we got Mr. Berry.
I think that's what the motion is.
Let's put it on the next agenda for discussion.
Voicing my
The motion is that at the next, my understanding, and I'll be corrected, is that if this third application for the franchise is proven to be legitimate and correct, it will appear before this council at the next meeting.
So what I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
So what we're doing is we're presuming that something is going to be presented so we can get it on the agenda for the next meeting. I think we're getting the, pardon the pun, the cart before the horse in this case, that once the application is proper and received, then it can be presented to be put on the agenda.
We can still put it on the agenda.
That's just what I said.
Yeah. Made and seconded. Mr. Raphael, go ahead.
This discussion was not on the agenda.
Yeah. It morphed into that, just like a lot of other things do. So there's still a motion on the floor with a second. Yeah, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Ready?
Yes, go.
Ms. Balance?
No.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
Dr. Kirkpatrick?
Yes.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Pownell?
No.
4 yeses, 2 noes.
Okay. All right, it goes on the next agenda.
If it passes muster.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you for showing up. All right, number 10 under unfinished business is discussion. You get out. Discussion of forensic audit. Ms. Balance, Dr. Kirkpatrick, motion to discuss.
Move to discuss.
All right. Second?
Second.
All right. Floor is open. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I've spoken to several CPAs who perform such services, and they would like to come speak to us about the details, the costs, and et cetera. So I have a house full of people from out of state and waiting for me at home. So in the hopes that we can move right past this and not have a big long discussion about it right now, I'll move to set up a workshop on possibly either October 10th or October 17th to discuss this and invite the interested parties to give us a presentation.
Mr. DeVito?
In order for a forensic audit, there needs to
We
be
haven't had
a
a second.
charge filed.
For discussion.
Do what?
There's not been a second for discussion.
Okay.
I
Floor is
thought-
open, everybody. Is there a
Oh.
second?
Yes, there was a second to discuss.
Who did? I didn't hear it.
Dr. Kirkpatrick?
She made a motion.
I made a motion to set up a workshop. I
No,
don't think anybody is.
that wasn't the motion.
No.
She made a
No.
motion.
Did I?
Second.
Correct.
Yeah, there is an open motion for a workshop
Discussion. What the first motion was.
To discuss.
to discuss.
Correct, and we have,
Yeah.
And I jumped right into making a motion to have a workshop so that we can have a presentation and make an informed decision about whether we want to move forward with this or not.
Okay. So a motion on the floor is for a workshop. Is there a second?
Second.
Doc, is that a yes? I seen a hand, okay. I seen a hand, didn't hear nothing. Okay, all in favor say aye.
What
discussion.
Okay,
Discussion.
all right, go ahead.
Date?
time?
Go ahead.
I would amend my motion to state the date of that would be October 17th at 2 o'clock in this room, if this room is available at that point. If not, perhaps we could use the mayor's office. October 17th.
So this is going to be an
at
open meeting, so,
2 o'clock. Right?
okay, so we're going to need a bigger spot than that. Yes, sir.
I'd like to know what the charge is to warrant a forensic audit. This is a capricious fishing expedition at taxpayer expense, If there is a charge leveled against the finance department, I would like to know what it is. Otherwise, this is a waste of my time.
Ms. Balance?
We've discussed that rather at length at several meetings previous to this. So if you weren't paying attention, then I'm sure you're probably out of the loop.
Excuse me?
That was uncalled for, Ms. Balance.
Sorry.
I'll repeat my statement
Sorry.
again. What are the charges?
I don't know. This is your guys' deal. I don't see any need for it personally, but that's personally, not as a chair. Yes, sir.
For purposes of discussion, I think we all received within the last week a document from the state that is going to be presented next week. Not knowing what the proper protocol is for being able to discuss it
Till it's approved.
before we get any further in depth in spending money we don't have. I think we've got a document in front of us that we need to discuss and work out some issues that might allay some concerns. I don't know. I'm just saying that the audit report that we've received may be or may not be what we need, but I think we ought to be able to sit down and look at it. But I don't know what the proper procedure is.
I think it's premature till we get our final audit back. Mr. DeVito?
Well, there's a big difference between a forensic audit and an audit, and that's my point, is that there's accusations of criminal wrongdoing in order to employ a forensic audit, and if there is such speculation on the part of council people, then we need to know what it is.
Ms. Balance?
That's why I want to set up a workshop so we can talk about it. So we can talk about it and discuss it. But at previous meetings, I have pointed out numerous red flags. Being dinged on audits over certain issues for many years, having to do with the police department and how they were dealing with their fines and different sort of things. There was red flags going up regarding that sort of issues. There's been issues with finance directors manipulating numbers, inactivating things and reactivating things so that year-end balance sheets didn't add up. There have been several other red flags, and I think it would behoove us to at least discuss this in a workshop.